Welcome to Video Journalism. This session will be on current affairs, and what this class will cover is the difference between news and current affairs, the structure and preparing questions, and the different approaches and opportunities for you. Now, before I go any further, I might just go back and just give you a little rundown on the course outline. Okay, so it's topic 8, current affairs reporting. So as I go through the lecture, the PowerPoint slides, these are all the things that we're going to be talking about. So please do the readings, current affairs, public affairs and infotainment from Alison's book. And just remember, this is a free download for Southern Cross University students. So if you just go into our readings tab over here, at my readings, you should be able to go into that, that textbook there, which is good. Okay, there's a little bit more reading for you. And now, we also have this video, what makes a good current affairs story. And Mark Willis, he outlines the different types of things that make a good story. So you get to elaborate on a news story, and if you look at characters and try to develop the characters to drive the narrative, you can actually do a really good job on it. So I won't play it for you. It's only just a minute and 12 seconds, but you can play it in your own time. And then we've got some learning activities here as well, and lots of good stuff here, and explaining what's happening with current affairs and the declining audiences and sort of the new models like The Project and The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, The Chaser, lots of different stuff. And we're also going into more detail on news for Gen Y and millennial audiences, because you guys, I'm guessing most of you are millennial or Gen Y, but for me I'm Gen X, so I'm more traditional style. And one of the things we need to really think about is the tabloid styles that are presented to us, which have been ridiculed and shamed by ABC's Media Watch. And I guess I'm in the category where I'm watching ABC programs like 7:30, Lateline, Foreign Correspondent, and Four Corners, okay, and Dateline. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more. Now, there's this thing called Vice News. So if you haven't got into it yet, I'll give you some links in a second, but there's another link there for you as well. This is sort of cutting edge stuff, and it's it's catered more to a younger audience as well. Which is really good, and I actually enjoy that as well. So I think this is the opportunity for most of you anyway. And then we're not doing a lot of discussion topics, so if you can, please go through this tutorials slide, get the discussion topic and chuck it on the discussion board so I can actually have a little bit of a discussion with you guys and help you along the way, because I'm finding some of the problems with this course is engaging with the students. So the more you can do the tutorial topics, jump on the discussion board and let's talk about them, the more you'll learn out of there. So the other thing that I've had a few emails about is the presenter queue and log sheets. Now, if you go into the unit content or actually other resources, I've put lots of good stuff on there for you. So I've got news templates for some stories and examples of a Channel 9 script. I've put down shot lists, ideas, equipment, troubleshooting, how you submit it, how to set up the Final Cut Pro, paper edit templates, and this one down the bottom, don't worry too much, that shows you how to set up a green screen in your lounge room so that you can actually do the presenters and anchor for your own news bulletin. We can worry about that later on, so don't worry about that at the moment. But more importantly, these things like paper edit templates, the example of a Channel 9 script. Now, I've built these templates to show you how to put a news story together, and I'll just open it because I've already got it open. Okay, so this is a previous student of mine, Jessica Millwood, who she's done a really good job, and she's actually the Channel 9 reporter for Queensland. So the presenter's queue, according to Alison's book, is just simply this little 1 to 2 sentence introduction. So this is what the presenter would say, okay? So for instance, here is Gold Coast researchers are on track to develop a drug that may stop the spread of cancer after creating a molecule which latches onto cancer-promoting protein within the body and prevents it from functioning. Okay, and that would be what the presenter would be saying before the story comes out. Okay, Now, if you look here, this is the script on the right-hand side for you, okay? Now, these things here, we've got our paragraphs, so paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what's happening, the action, and our shot list. So that's the footage log. So that's all you need to do. So if you use this template, you can create your own stories, and when you're submitting stuff, just send me this, a completed this. Now you can have timings on here as well if you like, okay? If you look at the Allison article, it has timings as well, so this might be 1 second to 3 seconds or something like that. So just follow these scripts. I've done them, I've put them together so it's easy for you guys to learn. Now you can, you can change everything. So for instance, you can just go out like that and just write whatever you like. So I've developed this template so it's nice and easy. So I'm just going to go back to how it was. Okay. You can change the shot list, you can change the action, you can change everything. You can even change this section up the top here. Okay, so I've put it all together so it's nice and easy for you. Now you can do the same thing with the current affairs. So the main difference between news and current affairs is that you get the opportunity to develop the story more. So usually news stories are only about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes at the most. Where current affairs stories go from 2.5 minutes. We're doing about 4 minutes, but they can go all the way up to, you know, half an hour. So this gives us the opportunity to put more voices within our stories. And what do we mean by more voices? We mean more people that can contribute to our news production. Okay, so rather than having 2 interviews, we can have 3 interviews or 4 interviews of different people that are telling different stories. Now, this could also have opposing views, or it can be similar views but from different points of view. Okay, so we can add more voices in there, but we can also add more depth. We can get into the nitty-gritty of things. We don't have to just quickly have an inverted pyramid style where we need all the important information up the top and then forming down into a funnel. We can elaborate on it. We can make it more detailed so that it's giving us more depth and more understanding of the topic at hand. One of the things that Mark Willesee talks about, and if you watch the video in the tutorial, is that it can be character driven. So if you find someone that's really interesting, they can drive the narrative just based on their characters. And this is always a good thing. Like good characters hold audiences' attention for much longer. So the better the character, the better the story, and it can just really drive the narrative the whole way through. The other thing too is it gives you an opportunity to be more creative. So you can add elements in there that you wouldn't have time to do. So you can add sound design, you can add a lot more text, you can have special effects, you can put overlapping voices, you can juxtapose different types of voices. So this can be a really good way to be a little bit more creative in the way you tell stories. Because at the end of the day, news and current affairs are about telling stories. And news is simple, fast, effective stories. Current affairs is more detailed, more voices. Now, I use this same model when I'm putting corporate videos together and documentaries because they are more current affairs style. So if I do a corporate documentary or even just a corporate video, I need to tell a story about that company. What is unique about them? What are they offering? And if you look at my Mediology site, I've also got documentaries there, and I made a whole hour broadcast on democracy, and I interviewed lots of different people with many different voices, and then I interwove all their stories together to create one narrative on democracy. So if you learn the basics of news, learn the basics of current affairs, you'll get the basic idea on how to produce a long form documentary as well. Okay, so current affairs are shorter versions, but it'll give you the basis of producing really good content. So who are the main players? In the commercial arena, we have the project A Current Affair in 60 Minutes, and as I mentioned before, A Current Affair is a bit of a tabloid production, and Today Tonight in some areas is a tabloid production where the journalistic ideals are a bit stretched. They're trying to create a story rather than just what the story is. Bit of sensationalism, which is not, not everybody's cup of tea. But in some ways, they've got a very big audience as well. The project's more driven towards a younger audience on Channel 10, and 60 Minutes, it's been around for a long time, longer form of current affairs, and it used to be a very, very prestigious show, but it lost a bit of its shine over the years. Now, if you look at more specialist stuff, you look at the things by Jon Stewart and the boys on the ABC with the Chaser as well. Now, I've got these are all hyperlinked for you, so you can jump on and just see whatever there is. So without me actually having to click through and drag this lecture on, you can just click through there and have a look yourself. And as you can see, if I hover my little thing over there, it goes to the different links, the project, current affair, and 60 Minutes. All right, so you probably know about all those things. Maybe the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, you don't really know that much. And the Chaser, I quite like the Chaser. They're pretty smart guys, so it's always good. We can come back and have a look at that later. So more in the public and special broadcasting area, we've got ABC. We talked about this a little bit in the tutorials. Four Corners, Foreign Correspondent, Dateline, Vice News, and the Hungry Beast. Okay, so if I click on Vice News, I think this is quite a cool little, oh, what's happened here? Sorry, if the page is not found, let's go to vicenews.com and see. Okay, there we go. So they're groundbreaking. They're doing stories that most other people do. I find it a little bit propaganda-ish, and they're pushing an agenda, but they do a good job. But I guess most news is a bit like that these days anyway. So if you're looking for cutting-edge stuff, this is the place to go. Okay, Vice News. All right. I quite like Foreign Correspondent. Okay, you can go through and find different stories. Secret Sardinia, that looks pretty cool. I haven't seen that yet. As you can see, it's a current affairs, it's 29 minutes, which is a lot longer than what we need to do. But the basic structure is almost the same, where you interweave stories and things, interweave narrative voices to create a narrative. Okay, let's have a look what else there is. ABC 7:30. There's Lee Sales. Franking credits. Now, most of you probably don't really know what franking credits are, but it's I don't know them too much. But with the election going on, you can see there's lots of election coverage going on at the moment. Okay, got all their social media links there as well. You can connect. You can get a podcast as well. RSS, that sets up a feed for you so that you get the latest information, which is really good. So lots of good stuff. So we can have two things. We can have narrative or character driven. Australian Story is a very good way to put a current affairs story together. There's no voiceover. It's totally driven by the characters. Okay. The other options, you can start with a soundbite, start with music or a natural sound, or pictures, and use interviews as a key part of the story, and your voiceover as a segue. So basically, you can do the voiceover in between just to drive the narrative a little bit. So very similar to news stories, but you interweave everything. So there's no strict formula, but need to effectively tell the story. Can be used for corporate storytelling, basis of documentaries, and you can look at my site Mediology, where I've got lots of corporate documentaries there. I've got a full documentary, and I've got stories from previous students as well. So, rather than dragging out this lecture, let's go to, even though this is week 9, it's topic 8 because we've had 1 week off for the Easter break. So let's go back. The topic 8, go through, as I said, go through the tutorial stuff. It's really, really important. Please watch Mark Willis's video. It's only small. And let's go through the learning activities, okay? So rather than me putting some videos on now for you, I want you to go through this learning activity, which is looking at different types of current affairs programming. Spend an hour or more exploring the videos of current affairs reports and the following sites. Make note of their topics and framing and how the journalists approach interview and camera style. what appeals to you, and post your thoughts on the discussion board for this learning activity, and respond thoughtfully to other students' comments. And then what I will do for you is I will break down a news and current affairs story next week, and I'll show you some of my examples. So please do this. Having viewed more than an hour or more of current affairs, you might be in a good position to think about the sort of report you'd like to produce for assignment 3. Develop some ideas you consider newsworthy and achievable, considering your resources and location, and you might come up with 2 or 3 ideas. And I can also help you in that process as well. So what you should answer is a few questions. What is the idea and what's the angle? Why is it current affairs? List 2 or 3 news values and apply your angle. And who would you ideally like to interview? So when you've answered these questions, write a 2-sentence summary on the story idea and post it to the discussion board forum. Look at the ideas of other students and respond thoughtfully to their summaries. Ask questions about the summary and if it's unclear. And if you put it on the discussion board for me, it might be a really good way to actually help me give you some feedback and direction, sort of in a way that you'd be pitching to a chief of staff, for instance, in a news organisation. You would come in the morning, you'd pitch your idea, and then I can give you some feedback, and then you can go off and you can tell me who you can interview, what angle it is, all those sort of things. Okay, so follow the tutorial, post on the discussion board, and we can get our second story going.